Okay, I'm back, and I just like I like using stream of consciousness, so I tend to not really prepare myself. I was thinking about preparing myself for thinking about spin orbit interaction and whatnot, and it's a lot of stuff I'm unfamiliar with. It seems to be they don't like Wikipedia sometimes doesn't seem to it's with its motion inside a potential. What does that even mean? What? Interaction with... Okay, I'm gonna actually have to look at this later because this Wikipedia page is pretty long and they have a derivation for it, and no, maybe I'll look at a video. I am probably going to do something with looking at a video because it's nice kind of like using multiple sources to kind of understand things and whatnot. So yeah. Also, my boss is really nice. He instead of me going to the place I usually go to pick up my check, he said that we could meet up at the corner of my street that I typically live in. But he's going to from one of the other streets because having to get here from my actual street that I'm on, it's a little bit annoying. So yeah. So far, I have a pretty good understanding of most of this. I was confused about spin for a while because spin is a very, of course, essential topic to understand and whatnot. And now I still don't like it. Spin is very misleading. It's a very misleading thing, and I think they also I think actually there have been videos on YouTube that I didn't look at that I saw that said that spin isn't actually spin and whatnot. I was like, yeah, why do people call it spin? They make it like they need to change. Somebody needs to change the name of that, and I don't know. It's just misleading. Like a lot of other subjects, especially physics. Well, actually, most of the time, I think physics tends to have a good set of terms that aren't misleading. Like the terms aren't vague or anything like that. But spin is like probably one of the most misleading things in physics as of now. I don't know of any good examples, but of course. When you give equations with particular names involved with them, those can be vague because it's a name and an equation, and you're just like, what does that have to do? What is the equation talking about? Like Schrodinger's equation, What It's whatever. It's people just trying to, he was the one who came up with it, right? So they're trying to honor his work to a degree, and he deserves a lot of recognition for that, obviously. Because he kind of tied in. It was de Broglie who first kind of thought, was like, okay, well, if photons are waves, maybe particles are waves and all that, and then I guess Schrodinger took that and he took it even further and created an equation that actually encapsulates all of the information that satisfies the differential equations within particular quote unquote potentials and whatnot. So it encapsulates it nicely, and you can come up with there are a lot of complex states in which you can't really find the Schrodinger equation, but it works really nice. I say it works really nice. It's easy to understand once you actually think about it for a little bit. I guess that's what I meant to say. So I think I'd rather look at spin orbit interaction during my own time, and I don't know. I use the Socratic method a lot. That's how I parse through most of this information and kind of come up with a logical framework tying to what I already know about the world and how it pertains to non-duality, and actually everything that I've been reading into quantum physics tends to exhibit that. There's a source. You can call it God or whatever, but there's a source that explains all of that. It all leads to the same source. My source. I guess I'll call it my God or whatever. Maybe that's my God, apparently. I guess why do fields have a dual field when information quote unquote flows is another thing I was thinking about and whatnot, and I haven't really thought about that as much. I'm not going to say anything about it because, again, this is my stream of consciousness can only answer so many questions, and I actually don't know of a really good place to explain that from a philosophical perspective. Because again, that wave, I just tend to take out the. It's good to use abstractions at times, but also it's good to kind of map those abstractions to to English to then kind of use the Socratic method, because the Socratic method is used in your own native language, and I think that's a really good way of understanding a lot of these things. And again, the way I'm using, it's my perspective, how I see it. I think of it as information flow and whatnot, and that can be debated, and of course it's just how I perceive it, just to have more ease for my brain to understanding these concepts. So information flow. That's something I have to think about now. I mean, even like you can think of like information still flowing because the particle is affecting the quantum field. It's still affecting the quantum field. And I was thinking, it's like, okay, so it's interesting, very interesting. I'm gonna have to think about that for a little bit, and it's just all field theory stuff, and I don't know, maybe if somebody can explain that to me. I don't think I don't know, I always go on forums just to see what other people say, and they just tend to explain it from a mathematical standpoint, and that is fine, I guess, and it is fine, because it is true. It's just like I kind of want to add more meaning to it just being an equation, though, I guess. Again, I've always been like this. I can't just have the equation and be like, yes, this is, I don't know. It's a way of kind of maybe potentially leading to newfound discoveries through using the medium of English and the Socratic method to then maybe create a new structure that ties into that. That is logically concise with it too. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I've been seeing a lot of repeating numbers recently. People would probably complain. People tend to, when they talk about Correlating synchronicities, they tend to go from a psychological standpoint, but also you can kind of not magnify, but also zoom out a little bit more, and you can look at it from more of a systematic perspective through truth vectors and whatnot, which encapsulates all psychology, it encapsulates all physics, and encapsulates all potential systems, meaning, yes, that can also encapsulate religion, it can encapsulate economy, it can encapsulate biology, and you call it anything, any system that can be abstracted, and it works, and it's how I perceive things now, and it's how I perceive physics, because that's my new framework that I'm using to understand everything and reality as it is. And okay, maybe I am being a little bit too confident to some degree. Maybe I sound too sure, but I think you can actually model all complex systems tying into biology, and I mean, you can model it that way. You can model biology that way if you want to, or just any complex system. Yeah. So I don't really have anything else to say, really. I want to do some more research on the spin-orbit coupling to see if I can find anything interesting out of that. And I like these videos because it kind of keeps me on track about like what things to focus on, and it helps out with my thought process, especially from a more of a philosophical standpoint. Obviously, I can do the math and all that for the most part. I wouldn't say, again, I would say I'm not, actually I do have a lot of potential in mathematics. I just haven't, I'm impatient, and I don't like practicing calculations all the time and all that. People are a trillion times better than me in that aspect. So I tend to use my intuitive faculties more than my more left brain thinking. Again, I'm still using it. It's just more of a zoomed out perspective than getting lost in the forest and whatnot. So I don't like getting lost in the forest. So I'm just trying to think of it from a different perspective. So yeah, anyways, I think I'm done talking for now. You guys have a wonderful day. Bye.